Is this the Biden crime family's biggest expose ever? Find out today as we look through the United States Oversight Committee's findings. I'm Drenda, and this is Drenda on Guard. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you're new here, consider subscribing to stay connected. Leave a like and comment down below your thoughts and opinions, and please subscribe and share this video with your friends, because trust me, this report will blow you away. The Durham report is full of groundbreaking news that the media is doing everything in their power to cover up. What I'm about to tell you is equally explosive. If you're like me, you might have asked yourself how Bill and Hillary Clinton have escaped any legal trouble when their crimes seem to be obvious to anybody paying attention. We know that Bill was a frequent flyer on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. There's photo evidence. And what about that creepy painting of him in the blue dress found on Epstein's island? Are we also just supposed to forget about Hillary's emails? And what about the Clintons and Epstein connection all the way up to the Rothschilds? I was just recently in London and kind of wandered off of James Street onto Little St. James Street. And it kind of shocked me because I thought, well, Epstein, and so I see a house there with all these statues, and I look it up and I find out that the house is owned by the Rothschilds on Little St. James Street. And since we know that Epstein has Little St. James Island, I thought, well, let me just see if there's any connection between Rothschilds and Epstein. Sure enough, I find out that Lynn Rothschild was actually on the island many times. And then I go on to find out that when her husband passed, that she actually had Bill Clinton come and do his funeral. I mean, this is just stuff you can't even make up. I don't know, it's interesting. Epstein, Rothschild, Clinton's connections all there, and the Little St. James Island. And then we look at all the big things going on in the world. We wonder, how do these people get away with literally murder and all these crimes and all of this? Well, according to the Durham report, the FBI has been hard at work defending the Clintons from any legal consequences. The report states in 2014, the FBI investigated a well-placed confidential source's claims that an unnamed foreign government intended to contribute to Hillary Clinton's anticipated presidential campaign as a way to gain influence with Clinton should she win the presidency. The field office investigating these claims almost immediately sought a FISA warrant, but it remained in limbo for approximately 4 months, primarily due to Clinton's then expected presidential campaign. Beginning in January 2016, this is the election year, by the way, 3 different FBI field offices, the New York field office, the Washington field office, and the Little Rock field office opened investigations into possible criminal activity involving the Clinton Foundation. Ultimately, FBI leadership held a joint meeting with the 3 field offices, FBI headquarters, and appropriate United States attorneys' offices. The first joint meeting occurred on February 1st, 2016. However, the Department of Justice Public Integrity Section Chief Ray Hulser said the FBI briefing at that meeting was poorly presented and saw insufficient predication for at least one of the investigations. A second joint meeting occurred on February 22nd, 2016, which former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, remember that name, chaired, and McCabe initially directed the field offices to close their cases, but later agreed to reconsider the final disposition of the cases. Durham's report noted. Paul Abate, who was the FBI Washington field office's assistant director in charge at the time, described McCabe's demeanor during the joint meeting as negative, annoyed, and angry, all according to Breitbart, their article about this, how the FBI actually did away with 4 investigations, and Comey came in and demanded they all be dropped. This was just in February before the fall 2016 election, where they all thought Hillary would be the shoo-in winner of the election because they had a lot of things in play, right? And instead, Donald Trump won the presidential election. But all of these FBI investigations with tremendous amounts of information was all dropped while they weaponized the FBI against Donald Trump, spying on him and colluding against him with the Russia hoax, the Russia collusion hoax, trying to say that he was colluding with Russia, when in fact the FBI knew before they ever opened the investigation it was a lie. Comey knew it, Hillary knew it, Obama knew it, and so did Biden. The Clintons had a team of people at the FBI running interference for them to avoid criminal culpability. Gates told the outlet, "These matters absolutely warrant additional exposure and review." Former Representative Jason Chavez said the FBI's investigations into the Clintons were shut down by the higher-ups who had an obvious political desire to see Donald Trump lose and Hillary Clinton win. It's disgusting, really. Absolutely, these investigations should be revisited, he told the Daily Mail. There's no reason why Congress can't have a series of hearings with the field agents who were pursuing the Clinton Foundation and public interviews with them as well. So what do we make of all this? It's obvious that those who were called conspiracy theorists for seeking justice against the Clintons have been completely validated by the Durham report. But what happens next? Friends, there is no freedom, justice, or fairness in America with the FBI as it exists today. They are clearly a militaristic arm for the Democrat Party and for those that are in political crime syndicates across the world. And we know as well the Biden family, their crime, which is another episode we'll talk about, but the Biden family crime syndicate and all of these people, and they're all been working together, almost together at the same time, succinctly. We have Vice President Biden, who was taking pay-for-play opportunities during his vice presidency. We have obviously the Hunter Biden laptop that, again, the FBI covered up and played down and called it Russian information, misinformation. We got the word misinformation then thrown everywhere. How many people were censored? How many organizations? I mean, you couldn't say anything about the Hunter Biden laptop, and it was called Russian disinformation. Yet we found out it was legitimate. We found out that Trump's, the accusations against him concerning a Russian collusion and hoax it was a hoax. It was nothing. There was nothing there, nothing to it. The Durham report shows us that. It shows us that the FBI completely cleared the Clintons, completely did away with so many things that are legitimate crimes. We have some answers, but I'm convinced they're clearly working, the FBI is working against the American people and will stop at nothing to corrupt the justice system we've enjoyed as a country until now. I'd love to hear your personal thoughts and opinions, and I just want to encourage you. There's a scripture that always helps me when I look at these situations and I think, how in the world are people getting away with this? And what do? Proverbs 26 in verse 23 says, "Like a coating of silver dross on earthenware are fervent lips with an evil heart. Enemies disguise themselves with their lips, but in their hearts they harbor deceit. Though their speech is charming, do not believe them." Don't believe them. We know not to believe them, right? "For 7 abominations fill their hearts. Their malice may be concealed by deception, but their wickedness will be exposed in the assembly." Thank God for people like Jim Jordan and other congressional candidates that have promised to do hearings and have started doing those hearings and actually bringing some of these FBI informants and whistleblowers to Congress to report not only what they knew and what was going on and how the higher-ups were shutting their voices, But now these whistleblowers are actually taking attacks themselves from the FBI. Mark Allen, one of the whistleblowers, actually lost his security clearance, his paycheck, and who knows, next they'll probably try to prosecute him criminally for some bogus charges. That's what they keep doing. They have weaponized our justice system, and until we get back our justice system and we get it out of the hands of people like George Soros and the people that are buying and playing our nation for fools in foreign governments, we'll not see true justice here in America. The United States House Committee on Oversight and Accountability is the main investigative committee of the United States House of Representatives. It's led by James Comer and has 47 total seats, 26 Republicans and 21 Democrats. The committee's latest efforts have been digging deeper into the shady dealings of the Biden family to see if there's any verifiable evidence of criminal activity. This is what you'll find on the official government website. The Oversight Committee has obtained thousands of pages of financial records revealing the Biden family and associates' complicated network of companies set up during Joe Biden's vice presidency and the millions the Bidens received from foreign sources. The financial records also reveal how the Bidens used complicated transactions to hide payments from foreign nationals, including CCP-linked associates, China, and provide clear indications of influence peddling schemes during then Vice President Biden's tenure. James Comer said the Bidens intentionally sought to hide, confuse, and conceal their influence peddling schemes, but bank records don't lie. The Bidens made millions from foreign nationals, providing what seems to be no services other than access and influence. From the thousands of records we've obtained so far, we know the Biden family set up over a dozen companies when Joe Biden was vice president. The Bidens engaged in many intentionally complicated financial transactions to hide these payments and avoid scrutiny. In at least one instance, the Biden CCP-linked associates took steps to conceal the source of the payments to the Bidens. The Bidens' foreign entanglements are breathtaking and raise serious questions about why foreign actors targeted the Biden family, what they expected in return, and whether our national security is threatened. We will continue to pursue additional bank records to follow the money trail and inform legislative solutions to prevent this type of corruption. Americans deserve answers, transparency, and accountability. Biden family members and business associates, they created a web of over 20 companies, and most were limited liability companies, LLCs, formed after Joe Biden became vice president. Must have learned this from the Clintons. Bank records show the Biden family, their business associates, and their companies received over $10 million from foreign nationals and their related companies. The committee has identified payments to Biden family members from foreign companies while he served as vice president and after he left public office. Chinese nationals hid the source of the money to the Bidens by layering domestic limited liability companies. The Biden family and associates' activities in coordination with Chinese nationals and their corporate entities appear to be an attempt to engage in financial deception. Multiple Biden family members received money from the Chinese after it passed through an associate's account. Additionally, Hunter Biden received money directly into his company's account from a Chinese-controlled entity. The Biden family and associates' activities in Romania bear clear evidence of a scheme to peddle influence from 2015 to 2017. On October 22nd, 2020, President Biden, then a presidential nominee, stood before the American people at a televised presidential debate and answered a question about whether there was anything inappropriate or unethical about his son's business dealings in Ukraine or China. President Biden denied that his son or anybody else from his family received money from China and stated, "My son has not made money in terms of this thing about what you are talking about, China. I've not had. The only guy who made money from China is this guy," speaking of Donald Trump. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China. The bank records refute President Biden's statement. To date, President Biden has continued to deny that his family received money from China, despite bank records proving otherwise. In 2017 alone, bank records show President Biden's family and their related companies received millions of dollars from Chinese foreign nationals' companies. Here are some of the companies that the committee has identified: Lion Hall Group, LLC, Owasco PC, Robinson Walker, LLC, Seneca Global Advisors, LLC, Rosemont Realty, LLC, and so many others that we'll put on screen for you. We also discovered that at least 5 whistleblowers came forward about the corruption in the Biden crime family. Senator Chuck Grassley said whistleblower disclosures indicate the FBI has evidence that Joe Biden is aware of the family business schemes, a statement that directly contradicts the president. Grassley said the whistleblower disclosures make clear the FBI has within its possession very significant, impactful, and voluminous evidence with respect to potential criminal conduct by Hunter and James Biden. Tony Bobulinski, a former business associate of Hunter, personally met with Joe and Hunter Biden in 2017 for an hour to discuss the Biden's family business plans for a Chinese energy deal. That deal appears to have never been finalized. The deal included 10% held by H for the big guy, who Bobulinski said was Joe Biden. Former Obama White House stenographer Mike McCormick alleged in 2023 that the FBI has ignored Joe Biden's role in the family's foreign influence, much like they ignored all of the Clinton issues with the foundation. An IRS whistleblower alleged in 2023 that 2 Biden administration political appointees within the Justice Department are working to block charges against Hunter Biden for tax violations against recommendations. We know this is just the tip of the iceberg. Bud Cummins, a former federal prosecutor, first reported the bribery allegations to then New York U.S. Attorney Jeff Berman on October 4, 2018, in an email claiming he had evidence that Joe Biden had exercised influence to protect his son's Ukrainian employer in exchange for payments to Hunter Biden, Devon Archer, and Joe Biden. The amount of money involved in these financial transactions is significant. The wires and money transfers range from approximately $5,000 to at least $3 million. Yes, you heard me right, $3 million. Many of the relevant wire transfers involve Owasco PC, a professional corporation formed in Washington, D.C. Hunter Biden was the owner of Owasco PC. Now, given the millions of dollars that were poured into Biden's family, we can say these things with certainty. 1, former Vice President Biden knew that multiple Biden family members were committing a significant amount of their time toward receiving millions of dollars from China and Romania. 2, politically connected Chinese nationals in the Chinese Communist Party approached the Biden family not for honest reasons, but to do shady deals for influence. And 3, Biden has lied to the American people time and time again. And government agencies like the CIA and the FBI have been complicit in covering up these bank records. Of course, this isn't the only incriminating leak for the Biden administration. Turns out emails have shown that Biden's State Department sought to protect China during the spy balloon situation. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken was actually seeking to protect the communists, according to Reuters. backed by leaked emails and inside sources. Instead of punishing China for its insanely provocative violation of U.S. airspace and sovereignty, Blinken had his underlings pause major human rights and trade measures. You may have seen that Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia has recently called for the impeachment of President Joe Biden, along with several of his cabinet members, for the gross misconduct that the Biden family, as well as the operatives in Washington, have called for and have allowed to happen across our southern border and across our nation. Take a look at this.
Out in the real world, where American taxpayers live, employees are fired when they are corrupt or aren't adequately serving their employer or purposely destroying a company. In this case, the employer is the American people because they pay the salaries of everyone in the federal government. The Constitution outlines a very simple process to fire the corrupt officials serving in the federal government: impeachment. Matthew Graves, Christopher Wray, Merrick Garland, Alejandro Mayorkas, and Joe Biden are all corrupt and unfit to hold office, and they all must be impeached.
I agree. Joe Biden should be impeached, as well as these other people. Our nation is under attack, and justice is the only way to stop this. So what happens next? Will anything come from these bombshell reports, or will there be more of the same in America's two-tiered justice system? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I personally would like to believe that we're going this time to see justice. There are hopeful events and things happening. Right here, I hold a report that was put out by Blaze TV, Blaze Media. It's a confidential information report, a dossier, if you will, but this time the dossier wasn't paid for and financed by opponents against the Trump campaign, but instead these are actual factual reports with all of the details of the Hunter Biden laptop drug and sex crimes and the states these are prosecutable in. There's also an overview of significant Biden crimes that involve business fraud, gun-related crimes, tax crimes, sex crimes, child pornography, election interference, and laptop cover-up. These things happen, and different ones in different states that are prosecutable in Arizona, California, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Massachusetts, Nevada, New York, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia. If you live in one of these states, your state and your attorney general has an obligation to the rule of law to prosecute the Biden family. And I am really appreciative that Blaze Media has put this entire dossier out showing all the crimes, the statutes, the evidence, what states they were committed in. And you as an American citizen can stand up and speak up and say to your attorney general, this happened in my state of Florida, just right here, drug crimes, location, Southern District of Florida, relevant statutes, it lists the statutes of Florida law, details of crime, photos show Joe Biden's son-in-law, medical doctor Howard Crane, consuming a joint, which is in violation of his medical license regulations. In her diary, Ashley Biden refers to Howard as a casual user of drugs. It goes on, it says sex crimes, details of crimes. Records show Hunter sending money to escort pimp a Ukrainian citizen, which was flagged by JP Morgan Chase as probably human trafficking activity. Dektiar from Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, received $274,000 and $873 between November 2018 and March 2019 with no clear, legitimate economic purpose. This is just one of many examples of states, statutes, and crimes that the Biden crime family committed. So if our FBI, our CIA will not go after these things under this current corrupt administration, of course they're not going to investigate themselves. And from the Durham report, we obviously see they dropped 4 cases, FBI investigations against Hillary Clinton during the election year of 2016. They obviously are covering for Biden. We've got the same players in the past, McCabe, Comey, and the same players at the higher ups. There are some good people at the FBI, I do want to say, in these other states that were trying to investigate these things, but they were shut down by the higher ups. And now whistleblowers have come forward, but they're trying to put the screws to them to shut them down and to make them an example so that if anybody else dares speak up, this is what will happen to you. Thank God we have people that are willing to stand up because they love our nation, they love justice, they love freedom, and they took an oath to protect America. And so did your officials in your state. So if you live in one of these states, I encourage you to get this dossier. We have information in the link below to tell you how you can get this, and contact your attorney general and demand, share it with your friends in your state, and demand that they prosecute these Biden crimes in your state. And there's many states here and many documentations here to show what you can do. And I want to encourage you. Some Christians will say, well, Drenda, we shouldn't get involved in these things. No, no, no. The Apostle Paul, I write about it in the book Fight Like Heaven that I wrote and released this past year. I talk about reclaiming the government, chapter 15. The Apostle Paul petitioned his government by demanding his rights as a Roman citizen when he was about to be flogged. He said, is it legal for you to flog a Roman citizen who hasn't been found guilty? When those in authority recognized he was a citizen with rights, they immediately withdrew. For too long, we have trusted others with our destiny and rights. Pleasure and convenience can be the theft of standards and morality. We must know our rights as citizens in God's kingdom and our nation and speak up. As a citizen of America, we should use our vote and petitioning power and contact state lawmakers, since they are the ones who make laws in our state and local governments. These are our rights as citizens. A lawmaker remarked, we don't fear paid lobbyists or even average citizens, but we greatly fear mama bears. Grandmama bears are even more fierce. I want to say to you, you grandmama bears that are so fierce, I want to say to you, you mama bears, you can speak up. You do what Paul did. Paul pleaded and said, I am a Roman citizen. You are an American citizen, and you have a right to speak up. You have a right to hold these people accountable. Your state government can hold them accountable, even if we aren't seeing it at the federal level at this point. I am thankful the Congress is bringing people before them to testify from the FBI. They're digging into this, but you and I both have seen for too long, too many times, we hear about it and then nothing's done about it. So let's you and I do something in our local states. I encourage you to get that dossier, to pray and to fight like heaven. These are your legal rights in the kingdom of God and in America as a citizen. And if Paul, who wrote more books of the New Testament than anyone else, could appeal using his rightful law, not just in the kingdom of God, but as a Roman citizen, then you as an American citizen should also do likewise. Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. And so I encourage you, get the dossier, check out your state and the violations that the Hunter Biden and Joe Biden family crime ring have committed in your states. If I go through this book, it's hideous. I can't even read to you all of the different violations, but they cover so many things that deal with human trafficking, prostitution, amounts of money that are just unbelievable. And it's all right there in the Hunter Biden laptop that we were told was Russian disinformation by 50 of our intelligence officers and agents who signed prior to the election in 2020, signed saying that this was all Russian disinformation. We need to hold these people accountable too. And let me just say this, sometimes we look and see that justice is thwarted and it angers us. But I want to tell you, the God who sits on the throne in heaven will bring justice to these evil doers. If not in this life, in the life to come, they will be held accountable. I'm Drenda, and this is Drenda on Guard. Thank you for joining me. Please share this with someone and subscribe to my channel. I need you to subscribe for us to have more reach and for us to be able to bring the guests on that we want to bring. I need you not just to view, but please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you. I love you, you mama bears, grandmama bears, and you mighty men of valor and of God. Thank you for standing with me and continue to fight like heaven. We'll see you next time. If you haven't picked up my book or read it yet, Fight Like Heaven, a cultural guide to living on guard. Stay on guard until next time.